Yes, good evening, professional colleagues, student members, and friends of the Institute. And welcome to another episode of ICAN on Air, your great platform for learning. I'm your host for today, Tosin Yakinwumi, FCA. There is a saying that goes thus: a healthy person wants 1,000 things. The sick only want one thing. What do you think the sick wants? Healing. Even when the elder person wants 1,000 things. It's your show, ICAN on Air, again today. And please inform your colleagues and friends that we have started this show and they can be part of that show faced on ICAN Facebook page or Instagram or YouTube channel. And today, Thursday, 8th August 2024, we are looking at this topic, fitness beyond the surface, understanding wholesome well-being. And I have here with me a medical expert, the provost of Benjamin Carson College of Health and Medical Sciences, Babcock University, in person of Professor John Obafemi Shotusa. Sit down and relax. Don't go away. We have a lot to talk about today regarding your health, my health, our health. Don't go away. I'll be right back after this time out.
The Skill Up Artisans Program Super is an initiative of the federal government.
The aim of Super is to upskill Nigerian artisans for better employability. This we are carrying out by collecting the data of Nigeria artisans through massive registration, training, certification, and licensing for better job opportunities both locally and internationally. Super will improve the quality of life of Nigeria artisans. It will improve the quality of work from Nigeria artisans, enhance work and professional ethics from Nigeria artisans, reduce dependency on foreign artisans, and increase foreign exchange through talent export.
Log on to super.itf.gov.ng to register now. Super, upskilling Nigeria artisans for super job.
You are welcome back to the studio, and it's your program ICAN on Air. And today we are looking at the fitness beyond the surface, understanding wholesome well-being. And I have here with me our guest on the show today, in person of Professor John Obafemi Shotusa. He is the provost, Benjamin Carson College of Health and Medical Sciences from Babcock University, Ilishan Remo, Ogun State. Professor, it is a privilege to have you in the studio today.
Thank you very much, Akinwumi. It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. And to our listeners and viewers at home, thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much, sir, for acting to our call. Let me quickly take the brief profile of our guest on the show today. Professor John Obafemi Shotusa. He is the provost of Benjamin Carson College of Health and Medical Sciences. He's a medical missionary focused on the total healing of man. His initial training in theology and practice as a clergy laid the foundation of holistic view of wellness of man as individual and a community. He had his initial medical training at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and residency training at Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu, which led to his fellowship in the Faculty of Obstetrics and Gynecology of the West African College of Surgeons. He has a Master's of Business Administration from Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, as well as Masters in Public Health from Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye. Because of our time, that is the brief profile of our guest on the show today. So sit back and relax as we go straight into the crux of the matter, fitness beyond the surface. Professor Sir, health, they say, is the greatest gift. Contentment, the greatest wealth, and faithfulness, the best relationship. And that's why ICAN, in our wisdom, has decided to talk about the wellness of our members today. And we have thought about bringing you on the show because you know, and we know clearly, that you are a medical expert and you can speak to the topic. According to Thomas Carroll, a Scottish philosopher, he said, "Who has health has hope, and he who has
Mhm.
hope has everything."
Yeah.
In simple terms, my professor, what is well-being and what does it encompass?
Thank you very much. When we talk about well-being, is the ability of the individual to be able to meet up with challenges without undue stress. So we say this person is well. Like for instance, my office in the fourth floor of my institution where I stay. So if I'm well, I'll be able to climb the stairs, no problem. But if I'm not well, for me to be able to climb that stairs, I'll climb one, two, I will sit down, and then I'll try to catch my breath. It's showing that something is wrong. So when we're talking about fitness, that means that person has the capability to be able to meet up with the daily challenges that life throws our way. That is fitness.
Wow. And I'm sure you have just followed my word to say in simple terms. That is indeed in simple terms.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that simple, simplified definition. Okay, so I want you to help our global viewers to understand the principles of well-being and the characteristics of healthy well-being.
Good. Thank you very much. So when we are talking about well-being, we have to talk about various aspects. You know, this brain is like the what do you call the brain box. So if the hand, the leg, the eyes, they are all okay, but the brain box is not working very well. Trouble. So we must have mental well-being. In other words, the center that makes the decision and coordinate things must be intact and must be optimal in its function. When there is no mental well-being, the hand could be good, the legs could be fine, the heart can even be okay, but you see that the person still will not be himself. A very good example, assuming you are not able to sleep for 5 days, what happens? You see the effect will start initially. You feel some warmness that you have to drink water or put in cold towel all around you. Before you know it, headache. Before you know it, body ache. So all these are things that begin to manifest that look, all is not well. What about if it is a hand that is having problem? Assuming you have what we call whitlow, infection around the tip of this finger with the pain and agony associated with it, you will not be able to sleep. You will not be able to eat. Name it. All this will be affecting the individual. So when we're talking about wellness, we have the mental, we have the physical, we have the emotional. Your girlfriend had just broken your heart. Sorry. And then she's telling me, Oshemo, before you know it, in fact, if they are giving you business of 1 million naira to come and just do one hour work, to just come and give them advice on some forensic accounting thing. You just find out that, look, Mr. Carry your money away. I don't have time. Why? Because one is not in the best state of mind. So we also have environmental wellness. When we are not in sync with our environment, just like what we are having now, all the protests and several other things, you see that things are just not well. These are all part of fitness. That is the reason why when we're defining health, we're saying it's not just the absence of diseases, but a state of total mental, physical, emotional, and of course, spiritual well-being. So once any of this is having problem, wellness has gone through the window. So it consists of all this, including financial, because a hungry man is an angry man. And when you are poor, wow, you go so gary tire. Before you know it, obesity. Before you know it, they say diabetes don't happen. All kind of things will start coming in. So when we're talking about fitness, it has to be holistic.
Okay, when we are talking about fitness, it has to be holistic. And as Professor John Bafemi Shotus are giving us that summary there. Okay, Prof, still on that fitness. Uh, what is fitness? And what are the types or components of fitness that we can talk about here on this discussion?
So, when we're talking about fitness, as I've alluded earlier on briefly, it goes beyond not just being sick and what a lot of people do see. It has to do with more of the function, that ability of the part of the person or the whole being to be able to function in sync with each other so that the person can achieve the set goals and objective that he or she is set to achieve. Once one is not able to achieve the best possible, then fitness had gone out of the window. So, when we're talking about this, it goes on to affect the interrelationship, the positive correlation of the whole human being and its function. That is what we are talking about fitness. Then we can have the physical aspect of the fitness, just like I mentioned earlier on. And when we are talking about the physical aspect of fitness, it goes on from the body composition, ability to have the flexibility of the being, muscle strength, the endurance of the muscles to be able to bear the strains of life, and of course, cardiopulmonary endurance, ability of the heart to be able to deliver the necessary blood and nutrients to various parts of the body. These are all very, very, very important components. So we have basically six main components, if I may summarize. Number one, physical wellness. Number two, mental wellness, that has to do with the state of mind. Number three, spiritual wellness. Number four, emotional. Number five, social. And number six, environmental. Very soon you'll be getting the PowerPoint and you see the definition of all this. When we are talking about the emotional, that is coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationship. No man is an island. The greatest you can be is a peninsula. Once your neighbor is not in concert with you, I'm telling you, you will get more bodyguard than you need. So when we are talking about the financial, we are talking about satisfaction with current official financial situation. Because if your financial base is threatened, the tendency is that you undergo a lot of stress, and trying to meet up with that will release a lot of hormones in your body, the fear and fright hormones, which will lead to tension within the vessels. And before you know it, hypertension and several other things starts coming in. When we talk about the social wellness, that is developing a sense of connection, belonging, and a well-developed support system. Once the support system is not there, it leads to isolation. Even when you are in the midst of a crowd, you can still be isolated and you can be lonely. That's why WHO last year had to set up a whole community to look into the issue of loneliness, because we've seen a lot of cardiovascular diseases associated with loneliness. Then we talk about spiritual, expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life, because you have a connection to what many of us will call the supernatural, so that we know that despite the limitation, we have a support system that is beyond human. And that's why for those of us who are religious, we pray, we fast, we read the scriptures to give us courage and strength to be able to meet the challenges. So when we talk about physical, we're recognizing the need for physical activity, diet, sleep, nutrition. And this is very, very, very important. These are some of the various aspects that we need to take note of when we are talking about wellness.
Thank you very much, my professor. My professor has given me responses that almost get to 5 minutes, and he's saying that these are some. So my worry is that if they are not some, if he's trying to give us everything, it will actually take a longer time to give us. But that's a good one. Thank you very much, professor. But
Thank
a
you
little,
very much.
a follow-up question in that regard. The topic for today is fitness beyond the surface. How
Yeah.
does this relate to the common phrase, all that glitters is not gold. How does it
Exactly.
relate?
Exactly. It's very, very important. I don't know if you've ever bought avocado pear before, and then you look at outside, it's green, it's shiny, and then when you cut it, you just find that rather than having that yellow and apple green color, you now start seeing the brownish part that is already decaying in there. But outside, it's not showing. Or you've gone in to buy a crate of egg that have been stale in the shop and you didn't know, and then you broke the first one, it looks good, second one it looks good, then the third one, what is this? And all the ones you have in there, it messes them up. You get it? Outside, nothing is wrong with the shell, it's good and excellent. And that is what happens when we are talking about fitness. Sometimes you see the body, it looks okay. But when you now open the pack to see what is in there, you find out that you have diabetes, you have arthritis, you have insomnia, you have depression, you have all kind of things. That is the reason why I say, look, don't just look at the body. When we are looking at the concept of fitness, we are talking about how is the whole being able to work together in sync to give the desired outcome. Someone might look very nice in his blazers, but then when the tire hits the road, is not able to cope with life challenges. And that is the reason why we shouldn't just be talking about health, we must be talking about fitness.
Wow, we should not just be talking about health alone, but rather talking about fitness. That's the words of the Professor John Shutusa. Thank you very much for that once again. And
Great
now,
pleasure.
from your words, let's move to the aspect of mental health and stress management. Are there unique skills, work habits, lifestyles, etc., that professionals should adopt or comply with in order to help us in our wellness or well-being or in health promotion in these areas?
Yeah, there are simple rule of the thumb that I tell all my staff and my business associate. Always make sure whoever you meet in life leave you smiling. It's as simple as that. Why? When someone smiles, the body releases what we call the endorphin that helps the body to be able to heal itself. And then you receive strength from within and you'll be able to move on with life. Life struggles are limitless, but make it a point of duty that whosoever comes in contact with you must leave you smiling, even when the outcome of your transaction is below what the person is expecting. But never take away hope from anybody. Never take away hope. And while you are giving someone else hope, you yourself will receive hope and courage to be able to meet up with life challenges. What exactly do we call stress? Stress is inability of the body to cope with the demands, the day-to-day demands. And this demand is not all of them that we can identify. Some of them comes to us as emergency. But when you have in your mindset, your default setting, that look, it must be the sunny side of life. So as it comes, you begin to develop how to address those issues, and it's going to be beautiful. You get it? That is it. Like for instance, yeah, we have economic problem in Nigeria. Our GDP is going down. Then I ask myself, yeah, we are having problem with power. What then do I do? Is it possible that now we begin to find a way by which we make our education such that everyone that goes through our educational system, before they finish their secondary school, they don't just know what money is, they know how to make money, at least to be able to take care of themselves. Example. Akinwumi, do you know plantain ogede?
Yes,
Do
I
you
do.
know what plantain is?
Yes, I
Beautiful.
do.
Beautiful. You see, in secondary school, the age group between 9 and 16. You get it? And then, can you imagine if I have 100 children in my secondary school, and then I give each child 2 plots of land, and then I give them a species of plantain that will produce every 6 months. On each plot, we have 63 stands. So for the two plots, we will have 126 stands. And if it is a 6-month species, that means it will harvest twice a year. How much is a bunch of plantain in your area now?
Sincerely, I don't buy.
I will tell your wife to give you query. Now, a bunch of plantain, the average one is about 5,000, 8,000. When you have the ones that you get in a very nurtured land and it's watered adequately, that will go between 10 and 11,000 per bunch. So let's even say it is 8,000. 8,000, let's even say, okay, some pilfering and things. Let's say it just got 100. 100 times 8,000. That is already how much? 800,000. This boy will pay his school fees and we enjoy himself. And after the planting, what else does he need? To make sure that there's adequate water. When the bunch is too heavy, you support it with bamboo or stick. That's all he does. And if it is very dry, let him get bottle, put in a wick, and fill the bottle and put it beside the plantain, and that will be all. That's what we are talking about. So immediately we begin to help us find indigenous way of solving most of our problems. We see that the issue of stress will be minimized. And when someone is happy, a merry heart worketh good like medicine. One will be able to sleep very well. It is very simple. You don't need paracetamol before all these things goes on. These are some of the things we can do.
Wow. Thank you very much for that analogy. I think it's it helps in explaining and driving home the points you are trying to make. Apologies, I think my wife will be giving me query tonight because she does all the buyings like you actually just mentioned. But I think the analogy you gave us has actually driven the point home. But a follow-up question there on that stress management. Globally, it has been drummed that we are now in the season of slump and die. So here, this person just slumped and died. This one just slumped and died. That one. What is really going on? Is it a new health phenomenon, or we humans are just becoming more conscious of our health? What exactly is the problem here?
Yeah, it's not new. A very painful one was the one that happened last week. It really hits me. I wasn't happy about that, but it's a lesson for us. A senior colleague of mine used to say, look, once you are above 40 years, make sure you do your annual checkup. If you've ever seen a car or experienced a car engine knock in your hand, you see, you are just driving off. A last experience I had in Port Harcourt, we're just driving off and then we went into a ditch. The road was a little bit problematic and we didn't know the engine seat had weakened. So as we got in there and we got out, it seems there's nothing. But before we realized it, the hose pipe taking in the water to the engine to ensure that it's cooled just dislodged. And we didn't know until someone was pointing to our car that, look at your car, something is wrong. So we parked and then we checked. Then we realized that, steams everywhere. And then we waited to let it cool down. By the time we are realizing our engine already developed problem. You get it? So sometimes you don't know why it will happen that way. But if we have a regular checkup, most of the time, the little problem that can contribute to it, like elevated blood pressure, abnormal heartbeat, usually your heart should beat regularly between 60 and 100 times in a minute. But before you know it, rather than the heart beating regularly, it begins to breathe abnormally. And you wonder, why is it abnormal? Most of the time, it's because of the electrical stimulation. At a point in time, the electrical impulse is not going at steady state. And because it's not going at steady state, the electric stimulation of the heart is not regular. And because it's not regular, during those periods, the heart will not pump oxygen the way it should. And when the heart is not pumping and it has blood in there, the tendency is that the blood will clot together. And when it clots together, if it now contracts, the clot that it has formed in the heart will go out. Once it goes out, it can get into the vessels of the heart. That will give us coronary artery disease. And then once it blocks it completely, that area that is blocked will not get oxygen, will not get nutrients, and that section will die. Then the person will have pain and will grab his chest. That we call myocardial infarction. Big English. That is a section of that heart is dead. And once it's dead, it cannot pump blood. And once blood is not all around, it becomes a challenge. So that is the reason why it is very, very expedient that one takes care of one's wellness. Because when you go to the hospital, we check all this, and then once we are seeing evidence that, look, there's a problem in here, then you become more conscious about it, and then we begin to work towards it. That is very, very key. From the point of our diet, from the point of exercise, from the point of relationship, all these are very, very important so that we don't have this sudden death thing. It has been, but it's calling us to action that we need to take proper attention and care of ourselves.
It has been and is calling us to attention that we need to take proper action and attention of ourselves. Thank you very much, Prof, for those words, especially for your gesticulations. They are actually driving the point home. I must confess. I must confess. Let's also take one more question before we go on the commercial. It is opined in some quarters that advancement in technology has come with lots of pressure and tortures and possibly some with some medical implications and all that. As medical doctor, what is your thought on this and what is your position, sir?
That's a very, very important issue. Everything that is good needs to be used appropriately. That's why we are talking about temperance. Most of us these days work with our laptops, our phone. Before you know it, we have lots of glare. And before you know it, you begin to experience some aches in your eye. And some may even damage their eyes because we are not taking care of the effect of the glare on our eyes. That is just one of the examples. Technology, very fantastic, but we need to use them appropriately. One of the things that technology has brought, especially after COVID-19, is that we say work from home. Number one, the company doesn't have to hire enough spaces. Number two, the transport implication will be much less. We may give you money to buy more petrol so that you can have your generator on. And on the long run, that will also add to environmental pollution in your environment. Number three, when you are in your regular office, you are able to take some little break, chat with some friends. But this time around, you are in your house, you are alone. On the long run, all you do is to just face your system and you are working. Perhaps you just take a bite or two. So before you know it, loneliness, association, overwork, all this will bombard. Before you know it, we have much more of this condition that makes people drop because we now work ourselves to stupor. You get it? So as much as technology is very, very important, and it has helped reduce a lot of burden in our work, but we have to use them appropriately. The other side of it is that we have some aspects of technology that is helping us. My organization, we are working on telemedicine platform, and the main goal is for prevention. And in doing this, we are also encouraging the use of wearables, in which when you have the wearables, at a specific point in time, it takes your pulse rate, it takes your blood pressure, and other parameters, and it's sending into the database. So at the end of the week, just like how you are receiving your bill, it tell you, oh, Mr. Akinwumi is wonderful having your data for this month. Twice this month, your blood pressure have been okay, but we noticed that in the night is now 140/92. So because of that, we recommend in the next 2 months, you go for checkup so that we will be sure that this 92 is taken care of. You get it? These are some of the things technology will be doing because you are doing your own thing the way you are. Unlike when you get to the hospital because you are seeing the doctor with white coat and then your heart is palpitating. No, you don't need that. So as you are even balancing all your accounts, he's taking his measure and then it's going into the database, and with that, we'll be able to cancel you appropriately. So technology, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but we'll make sure we are temperate in all things.
Wow, we'll make sure we are temperate in all things. That's very good. We'll go on a short commercial now. When we are back, I think our viewers will be interested in knowing more about this telemedicine that Prof just dropped and hint about. Let's quickly go on to some commercials. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away.
Security is key to national development and growth. No nation can be truly economically successful without peace and stability, or when its security is threatened. This is why we must perform our civic obligation of duly paying our taxes so as to provide the needed resources for government to secure our lives and properties. When we pay our taxes, government is provided with the needed resources to equip our security agencies for a safer Nigeria. The money we pay as taxes is used to purchase equipment and hardware, invest in intelligence and other sophisticated technology, as well as cater for the welfare of all security personnel. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. Nigeria is safer when we pay our taxes. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
Welcome back, welcome back, and welcome back. If you are just joining us on the show today, we are currently here on another episode of ICAN on Air, and we are discussing the topic, fitness beyond the surface, understanding wholesome well-being. Of course, we have our guest in the house, Professor John Obafemi Shutunu, who has been dissecting, who has been telling us so much about fitness beyond the surface. Let's quickly go and see some comments from our viewers on the show. Then we can continue with our guest on the show. We have Sonin Abdulakim, who has joined us even before 6 p.m. and he is streaming live from Kano. Lydia Turulope, all the way from Ijebu Ode. We have Suraju Ibrahim from Kano. We have Tunde streaming live from Ota. We have Oladiran Ola. You know what? Today is actually my birthday, but indeed, even myself, I've deliberately and intentionally decided to go so low on it. But since morning, it's been lots of messages, and even our viewers today has come online to show love to my humble self, and I've seen lots of birthday messages. I want to say thank you so much for the love and for being part of ICAN on Air. Without you, of course, there will not be ICAN on Air. Of course, who are we going to be talking to? Nobody if you are actually not there. So let's continue with our discussion with Professor John, because we have a lot to discuss today. So, sir, before the break, you talked about telemedicine. And
Yes,
like I said it's more like you'd have just dropped a bombshell. Let's understand it better again. So how does that work? A device to be purchased, a device to be used, because even this day we have people using their phone. Samsung phone does that. They measure some form of parameters on this. And so let's just understand briefly how the telemedicine you talked about, how it's expected to work.
Yeah, this is the way. Thank you very much, Akiwumi. The way telemedicine work is that we are busy. We don't have all the time in the world to go and queue up in a hospital and somebody frowns at you. Am I the one that sent you here? You know, all kind of thing that we experience in some of our hospitals. You don't want to do that. And then sometimes you get into the hospital and you need to see a cardiologist, and they don't have a cardiologist. The closest cardiology is in Abuja. And you don't know anybody in Abuja. You don't even know how to book an appointment with him. So what telemedicine does is that is a platform. You subscribe onto the platform, and then you're able to, if you have any complaint, you are able to type it in there and say, look, I want to see a doctor. And then they give you the list of doctors available. If it's a first comer, the general practitioners will see you. And then after seeing, they will now prescribe some investigations. And right on that platform, depending on where you are living, let's say, for instance, you are in Zamfara, you are in Gusau, to be specific, and then you need a full blood count, you need an ECG, you need electrolyte urea and creatinine. And then you have the General Hospital Gusau where you can do all this investigation. So on the platform, they refer you to General Hospital Gusau for the investigation. Right there at General Hospital Gusau, because they're on that platform, the person in the lab is expecting you. Oh, Mr. Akinwumi is coming by 12 o'clock, and I'm going to take the samples for full blood count, for electrolyte urea and creatinine. And so once you get there, you just mention your name, say, yes, your doctor has sent your prescription. He takes that, and he said, okay, we are going to send your result to your platform. So you don't need to go back. The result goes onto the platform. Once it's ready in the next 3-4 hours, you see the result on your own platform. Your doctor sees it. He reviews it and say, oh, this, you need to see a cardiologist. So on the platform, he identified the cardiologist who is at Federal Medical Center, Gusau, and he makes an appointment for you there, and they send you a message. Please see Dr. Bala by 2 p.m. the following day. You go there and say, look, I'm here to see Dr. Bala, and your appointment is 2 p.m. You don't need to go there from 8 p.m. and you are sitting down and wasting your time. That is one advantage of telemedicine. So when Dr. Bala has seen you, he said, okay, I'm going to place you on amlodipine with moderatic, name it. I'm just using it as an example. Funnily enough, they don't have amlodipine in the whole of Zamfara. So the closest place you can get it is in Sokoto. And then they've shown you that this is not available in Zamfara. So you now tell Mr. Telemedicine, so please, help me get this thing. And then they identify that, Al Hikman Pharmacy in Stadium Road, Sokoto, has it. And they say, well, Al Hikman has it at this also cost. And you say, no, go ahead, get it. And then how will it get to you? Okay, delivery service. So they pick it up for you, bring it to you in Gusau while you are sitting in your work. In the next day, by 1 a.m. or 2, the thing have arrived. You get an alert that, look, your medication have arrived. I say, 1 a.m., that's too early. Okay, I'll come by 7 o'clock. Or they should bring it to you by 7 o'clock. They do that. You get it? That is one aspect of telemedicine. The other aspect is the one I'm describing, because health should go more towards preventive care rather than curative care. The more we prevent, the better. You live wholly, healthy, and happy. Because in the old medical practice, you pay your doctor when you are not sick. But now we pay our doctors when we are sick. Because if he does not give so much IV fluid and so much injection, say, well, what have you done? You are just talking, and you want to collect 100,000. What is that? That's nothing. His main job is to make sure you don't get sick. Excellent. So the telemedicine platform, you have the wearables that take all these measurements, and you'll be advised appropriately. In addition to that, maybe you've gone for one care and then you need a second opinion. You can put it in there, and they say, I need a second opinion from Lut. And they get a professional from Lut to do that for you at a fee. Or I want from Seychelles, and they get someone to do it for you from Seychelles. These are the things telemedicine can do, especially in this area of Japan. You have someone that is very proficient, but the guy has migrated to UK or whatever. He can still take care of you, and then using that platform. So that's the way telemedicine.
All right. It's indeed bringing technology into medicine, just like you explain it.
Exactly.
Okay, so you also just talked about preventive and curative, whatever in this part of the world. And Nigeria, as you know, it is widely echoed that the economic challenges people faced here is enough to affect your well-being and even productivity in your workplace. Where do you stand on these thoughts? And what are the reasons why people could have this thought, sir?
Whenever they bring up this issue, I like developmental economics a lot. And when you look at the development of nations, all you just need to do is to look at how did they get to where they are. I like the comment by Brian Tracy in his book Goals. He says success is learnable and it's achievable, but you must pay the price in full and in advance. 5 to 7 years down the line, you start reaping the reward. You get it? You can be a millionaire if you want to. All you just need to do, pay the price. Pay the price. And I'll give you an example of 4 nations. Let's look at China in the days of Chairman Mao. You get it? People were suffering. There was hunger, just like how we are having here. But Chairman Mao, the first step he did was to take the land and give it to the peasants. But nevertheless, he did not give the peasants freedom per se. He makes them dependent on him, like we are having in our political terrain now, until Deng Xiaoping came. When Deng Xiaoping came, he started investing in the people, developing them, empowering them. And that's how China opened up. And here we are, second largest economy. You get it? Another good example is what you have with Lee Kuan Yew. When Lee Kuan Yew took over Singapore at the time they got independence from Malaysia, was almost the time we also got independence. They didn't have fuel, they didn't have gold, they didn't have what have you. He realized his shortfall, and then he decided, what am I going to do? I'm going to build up manpower and take advantage of my location. And that's what he did. He made sure his people are well educated and fitted for the kind of development he's envisioning. Even himself as a president, he went to school. And that's what we are talking about. You get it? We have so much potentials in Nigeria. We just need to start rethinking. I benefited from the free education Awolowo brought in. It's okay, but I'm sorry. It seems some of those freeness has made us a little bit indolent. We have potentials that we can bring up. And I believe that immediately we begin to look inward, this nation is going to be wonderful. I believe it with all my life. Another good example is the Al Maktoums in Dubai. They realized that, look, the extractive industries will not be forever. It's going to be limited. So they started divesting. So we see a lot of real estate and on. They started attracting. In recent time, in the last 4 or 5 years, you see the way they're investing in sports and trying to make their league come up. You know what the Premiership is like when you're talking about the economic development of UK. So these are the things we are talking about. I believe that the economic challenges, if we look inward, we can make better advantage of our population, of our location, of our natural resources, and our potentials. Nigeria is going to be great. I just believe it.
Oh, Nigeria is going to be great. I believe, Professor John. Thanks for that assurance. Thank you for that assurance. Okay, let's quickly go to audience questions. Onwuma NS Chukunaru. So, Prof, the above topic evokes the contentious argument of which is better, content or container. In the light of the above, we live in a world where robots commit suicide because of too much work or stress. Sir, how do I know I'm overworking myself without any physical stress indicators?
Thank you very much. That's a very beautiful question. Most of the time, when you begin to have needless headache, you are not happy with what you are doing, you are already stressed. You're already stressed. It's not until when you are having high blood pressure, before high blood pressure starts coming in, your body will have been giving you some telltale signs. One of the things is that you're not happy. You get it? You're not happy. That's why you see someone earning 7 digits and we go and jump in the Eco Bridge or the Third Mainland Bridge. It is real. So you got to be happy with what you are doing. You get it? And you cannot be happy except you are impacting people's life and impacting people around you. No man is an island. The greatest you can be is a peninsula. You get it? So immediately you begin to impact people around you, they begin to bring the sun, the cheerfulness into your life. That's why I mentioned that one key indicator: nobody should come to you and leave you frowning, even when you are fighting. They must leave you smiling because they have hope. If you don't give hope to others, you too, you are hopeless. That's the truth. And that is what is affecting us. You get it? That's what is affecting us. So, to the question, the main thing is that immediately you are not happy, immediately people around you are not happy, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Let's work on that, and you see that things will be fantastic.
Okay, Prof. Okay. Let's digress a little to your core area, being the professor of obstetrics and gynecology. I will appreciate if you can run our global viewers through some of the holistic and indigenous approaches that can be adopted in order to stem Nigerians' maternal mortality.
Thank you very much. Usually when we talk about maternal mortality, death of women, we talk about direct causes, indirect causes. I was involved in a nationwide study that we published 2012-2013, where we asked, the title of the article that came out of that study is "When Getting There Is Not Enough." You get it? And we discovered that, yeah, we build so much big hospitals, we train big professors, and yet our maternal mortality is still on the high side. So we ask ourselves, why? And when we go on to the survey, breakdown of that study, we find out that the worst indices is in the Southwest, where we have the biggest hospital, the biggest professors, and on and on. So we started asking ourselves, why? You get it? We discovered that even though we had the hospitals, where are the personnel? And when we have the personnel, are they available? And when they are available, are they prompt in their attention? We found out that even people that have complications, before the onset of definitive care, the minimum is 4 hours. And if a person lacks oxygen to the brain for whatever reason, it's just within 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, that brain is dead. That person is just a vegetable. Can you imagine? 4 hours. So that's why we ask ourselves, when getting there is not enough. So because of that study, we are no longer looking at until when the person died. We call something near miss, Oriyomi. That is, this person should have died, though, but for whatever reason, either because of prayer, or because of the proficiency of the doctor, or because of the promptness of the care, the person did not die. We now ask ourselves, what is it that makes Oriyomi different from the one that had died? And from there, we discover that if we just have prompt attention, the professionals are available. And when you know this is beyond you, can you please escalate, refer, or get somebody else to take care of this person? And when that happens, most of the direct causes of maternal death, like bleeding, hemorrhage, hypertensive disease in pregnancy that leads to convulsion in pregnancy and on, abortion, and sepsis infection, or obstructed labor. Obstructed labor is an evidence of a failed medical system. Why? Children don't just die. They will have been giving you warning. This place you are pushing me through, I cannot pass it. I cannot pass it. And you see that the lower part of the abdomen will now fold as if you have two mountains. You get it? Like, those days when we are growing up in the 70s, we have bread. We call it bread onibiji. You have a hip here, you have another hip here, and you have a valley in between. That's the way the tummy will be. And once you see that, no, these things are not getting, it's not getting well. Or you look at the private part, it's becoming edematous, it's becoming swollen. Why now? Waiting happen. You take action. So it doesn't just happen. It gives you 30 sign. But when it gives you the 30 sign, and you say, oh dear, you are not concerned, then it will not cause trouble. And then, apart from this, we find out that there are things that we have in our indigenous sphere that we are not taking care of. Like, for instance, we talk about hemorrhage, anemia being one of the greatest problems. You know that if you are taking your vegetables very well, you don't need most of these tablets we are doing, because your blood level will be appropriate. In fact, in the local palace, there are things you find out that even if a woman is anemic, it will build up the PCB by around 37%. Things that are around us. It's just to now calm down and know that we should start from 1, 2, 3, and we'll solve these problems. We'll solve them. But we must be available. We must be ready to now apply our knowledge to the indigenous terrain. And maternal mortality, what is maternal mortality in Sweden? They are all in the unit, 1%. And we can achieve that rather than our own. Based on that study, we had over 1,000 plus maternal mortality per 100,000 live birth. So what are we talking about? Let's calm down. Let's look at our environment and begin to apply our knowledge and see the way it works. We'll be surprised. Our women will know that.
Amen. I say amen to that. I say amen to that.
But we need to work.
Okay, we'll work too, Prof.
Yes.
Okay, we have another question from Grace Ogundajo, my associate professor. And she's asking one pertinent questions that most of us professionals love to ask at every point in time. She said, is there any health risk associated with sitting for long hours in the office?
In fact, that is the bane of this sudden death. Because let me explain to you. You sit at a seat. Most of us, this report must be ready. 6 hours, 7 hours, you are there. And because you are there, the blood that is in the legs, they are just there. Why? The pump that returns those blood to the heart is a compression of the muscles of the leg. And because you are not walking around, they are not contracting and pushing on, it begins to stick together. The red cells stick together and they form blood clots, especially at the back of the knee. We call it popliteal region. And once it's accumulating there, before you know it, the leg will begin to get swollen gradually. Say, oh, it's no problem. They say I should raise my leg. And you raise the leg, sometimes it will go down. But once that clot has started, it tends to continue until you discover it and you address it. If you don't address it, it will continue. And as it continues, one of these days, God forbid, a chip of it just goes off. If it is small, you just have one small chest pain. You get it? That is an embolism. It comes so you now take aspirin and on. It tends to go. But it has not yet left there. It will come back again. That is when it gets to there. If it is a big one, immediately you have what we call heart attack. But then, if it goes to the brain, that's why sometimes some people will just have this transient experience when it is not too big. It seems as if this person is losing consciousness and then it comes back again because it's a small one. If it is a big one, that one is big stroke. So that is the reason why the rule is this. Once you are spending 2 hours on the seat, stand up and walk around for at least 20 minutes. If you are reading, take the book and be reading. If you are writing, there's nothing saying you cannot write while you are walking around. You walk around and do your writing and you move around. After 20 minutes, come back and sit down. And then, secondly, for a number of people that grew up in the village, most of the time we are used to eating Mount Kilimanjaro eba, Mount Kilimanjaro semo, Mount Kilimanjaro rice. But now, most of us, we are doing mental work. We need very little calorie. But yet, your eba is like this. 1 pomo, 4 shaki, 3 egg, and then 5 croaker on the thing. And then the prawn to go with it. To add insult upon injury, you now take a whole pack of juice, and sometimes it is a beer to top on it. So the calorie is so much, and before you know it, the men will be competing with their wives. They will become pregnant men all around. And because of this excess calorie, it will be converted to fat. And as it's converted to fat and not used, a number of this fat will be deposited in the blood vessel. So that the blood vessel that it should be this wide will now become this narrow. And the heart trying to get the blood to the destination. He's not able to do that. So he has to do a lot of work, and he's developing so much muscle. And because he's developing so much muscle, he will need much more vessels. But the vessels to the heart does not increase. So too much muscle, less food supply leads to muscular hunger. And with the muscular hunger, it begins to break down. And before you know it, heart attack. So sedentary lifestyle is not too good. To add on it, our diet has to change. A lot of pastries, a lot of refined food, get fine vegetable and eat. Fruits take, rather than all these pastries and other things that we're eating. So that will help us.
Wow, I think that response is very germane, very cogent for we professionals in particular, because we sit in the office and we do a lot of things on the same spot, trying to get some reports ready. I must say thank you very much for that, Professor, for the high opening response and all that you have said today. But however, in closing, ICAN is always open to ideas that would positively advance the growth of our members, the accountancy profession, and the global business environment. Please, what is your suggestion or advice on filling knowledge gaps in order to further build the needed capacity and create global opportunities of ICAN members and other professionals? Just in 1 minute, sir. Our time is fast spent.
Yeah, 1 minute. What our advice, we professionals, we have so much advantage over many other Nigerians. You get it? One thing is that let's initiate mentorship. One of the things we're trying to do in the NGO I belong to, Global Vision Support International Foundation, is to start a school for those who cannot afford. Not your own children, no, I came with me, you have money. So those ones that cannot afford at all, you bring them in, and that illustration I gave you concerning the plantain is what we're trying to do. Empower them to be able to be self-dependent, and they can. And if we can do this in a nook and cranny, number one, our GDP will go up. We go up with minimal stress and strain, because you have so many people doing small things in their corner and bringing it together is going to advance. Number two is that let's look for problems and ways to solve those problems. Let's not run away from problems. Let's not run away from problems. And it's peculiar to each environment. Let's look out for these problems and let's solve them. Number three, we call something social network. And when we have very good social network, it brings by social capital. When you look at from third world to first world by Lee Kuan Yew, you see a lot of this playing out, and every man's business becomes everyone's business. So that brings in social accountability. And that will really move us and our nation in the right direction. Time will not permit me to start breaking this down, but there are wonderful opportunities in the country, and we'll take advantage of that.
Wow, thank you very much, Professor John Obafemi Shutusa, for your insights, for this great delivery that you have given to us this day. We thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your wealth of experience with our members and friends of the Institute. On behalf of the producers of this program, we say thank you so much, because you didn't just
It's a
speak to
pleasure,
us,
sir.
you also open our eyes to so many things that we need to know. Even along the line, you were dropping some quotable quotes that our members are also tapping into. And we say thank you so much for coming on the show. We hope that when next we call upon you, you hearken unto us, sir.
It's always a pleasure, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
It's
much.
a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, quickly before we wrap up the show, let's quickly take the announcement that we have for you on this show today. By 21st to 25th October 2024, there will be the ICAN Entrepreneurship Development Practical Session. The venue is at ICAN Center, Muwodorf in Lagos. Virtual fee is 30,000 naira, while the physical fee is 40,000 naira. Then the great banger coming is the 54th Annual Accountant Conference, holding in Abuja, Transcorp 18 Hotel. Please don't forget, coming between 7th and 11th October with the theme, Governance Reimagined, Mapping the Future. Have you registered? If you have not, please go and register. You can't afford to miss that conference. Also, there is an important security notice. There is a phishing attempt targeting ICAN members. We have been receiving emails from everywhere saying, click on this link, click on that link. We need to tell you that ICAN will never request sensitive information via email or ask members to update their information through any external link. So please, let's be careful on clicking any link that is coming from any of such mail. Also, November 2024 diet examination is around the corner. The date is Tuesday, November 19 to Thursday, November 21, 2024. Let us not forget, go ahead and register. And that will be the show for today. You agree with me that the show is worth the while, very educating and instructive. Till I come your way again with another guest on another topical issue, please stay safe and stay sound. For thanks so much for your wishes on my birthday. I say you are my friends and you have made today so lovely for me. I'm Tosi Akiomi FCA saying thank you for watching and bye for now.